right, ladies and gentlemen, in your warm-up today, we're going to start with a simple evaluating problem, okay? Take a look at number 1. 2 big old parentheses, right? What's happening between the 2 big old parentheses? Yeah, there's definitely multiplication happening in there. So if I can figure out what the first parenthesis is and I can figure out what the second parenthesis is, I can just multiply them and I'll get an answer, right? Okay, well, what do I tell you about this problem that's probably good information to know? Does everybody see right here how it tells me x is -3, right? You good? Does anybody have a pencil or something he can write with? There you go. So if I can figure out, got your pass for me? Go back down and get one. If we can figure out what those are, then we should be good to go. So we're going to do some substitution. Good? What is x that I'm plugging in here? Now, if I want to square -3, remember we got to put it in parentheses, right? Remember that from yesterday? Come on, get with me. We just started. Don't be zoning out on me yet. Okay. Plus 4 times, what am I putting in there for x? And then I have plus 5. So grab your calculators. What is that quantity? Can I get a second on that? I just want to know what the first parenthesis is. It's 2? Okay, so this part right here is 2. Let's go ahead and let's do the other parentheses. You okay, Dylan, or no? What's up? Do you have your calculator there? Oh, well, that's how we got 2. We plugged it all in. Okay, because... No, that's 9. That's 9. And then this will actually end up being -12. And then plus 5 will give me 2. Okay, let's go over to the other parentheses. What am I putting in here for x? So this will be -3 squared. What am I putting in here for x? Yeah, so what is actually plus a -3? It's just -3. So we're going to turn that into just a -3 and then -2. What does that give you? 4? Can I get a second on that from somebody? Are you just saying that, or? Yes, you are. It's 4. And what did we say was going on between those 2 parentheses? Multiplication. So what is 2 times 4? Wonderful. There's my answer. Okay. Substitution. Let's do it again for number 2. Basically, number 2 looks pretty much the same, doesn't it? Okay. This time, what are we plugging in, though, for x? -4. Thank you, ma'am. Right here, that -4. So, remember, this has got to go in parentheses if I'm going to square it. Everybody good here? -3, what am I putting in for that x? How are we doing? And then plus 1. $29. Okay, so remember that's this first parentheses, 29. Let's go on to the second parentheses. What am I plugging in for x right here? And that's going to get squared. Plus 2 times the same -4, and then -8. 0, 0. Okay, so what are we doing with these parentheses? Yeah, these 2 parentheses right next to each other, remember, folks, this is multiplying. So what do you get? 0. Questions for me on those first 2 warm-up problems? Everybody's all right? Okay, let's move down to the shapes now. Can you tell me how to find the area of a rectangle? Multiply what? Length times width. Okay. Can you tell me how to find the area of a triangle? That's perimeter. You're close. You're close, Savannah. Base times height, and then do what with it? Correct. It is base times height divided by 2. Folks, dividing by 2 is cutting something in half, correct? Okay, so this is the same as base times height and then multiplying it by a half. They mean the same exact thing. Whether you divide by 2 or you multiply by a half, it's the same. Is everybody okay with that? Yeah? And finally, how about the area of a circle? Circumference is around the outside. Circumference is the same thing as perimeter. Say what? How do I find the area of a circle? Perimeter is around the outside. Area is what's going to fill in the middle. Google it. Pull out your phones. Google it. How do you find the area of a circle? Formula for area of a circle. You did. That's why you should know it. Pi r squared. What is r? Radius. Okay, so let's use these formulas and let's find the area of a polygon. Now, we had a little issue in 4th period with the word polygon. What's a polygon? So, what kinds of things have many sides? Octagons, triangles, squares, quadrilaterals. So what do we call those things? Shapes. A polygon is just a shape. Okay, so we're going to find the area of these shapes. I'm just using a fancy math word of polygon, okay? All right, do we have a formula to find area of a triangle? Sure we do. I'm going to start by writing that formula. A half times base times height. Is that all right for everybody? Okay, the half never changes. It stays the half. What's the base of this triangle? Wonderful. What's the height of this triangle? Wonderful. Everybody still doing okay? Now, this looks like the problems we did yesterday. Remember, there's 2 types of problems that I've now taught you about. Problems that have an outside power and problems that are just multiplication problems. Which is this? Does this have an outside power or is it just a multiplication problem? Just multiplication problem. What do we do with the coefficients? Multiply them. Can you multiply all those for me? You shouldn't need a calculator for this. Hold on. What's 5 times 8 divided by 2? It's 20. You shouldn't need a calculator for that. Okay. What are we going to do with our variables? Add them. So this will be c to the and d to the. Wonderful. That would be the representation of this area. Okay. Everybody okay? Got another triangle, don't I? Same formula, right? Can you tell me what the base of this triangle is? Okay. And the height? Okay. Is this a problem with an outside power, or is this a multiplication problem? This is just multiplication, right? Okay, so we're going to multiply the coefficients. Is 3. Is everybody okay with me doing a 3 for this coefficient? Bless you. What do we do with our exponents? Add them. So how many G's will you get? Wonderful. How many H's will you get? How is everybody with that triangle? See how we're just plugging things in and then working it out, right? Okay, number 3. What do we have here? So we said, okay, that's enough. For the circle, I have pi r squared. We said that's our formula. Now, pi is just a number, right? If you didn't know, pi is that big old long decimal. It keeps on going forever, okay? It's a number, so we're not plugging anything in for pi. The radius is from the center to the outside. What is the radius of this circle? So I have pi times 2xy squared. And then do you see how this says r squared, guys? Yes. I need to put that 2 up top there. Now, is this a multiplication problem or is this an outside power problem? Everybody see that outside power? 2 is my coefficient, isn't it? What are we going to do with the coefficients with the outside power? Raise it to that power. So this is 2 to the second. This x has a 1 on it. What are we going to do with those exponents? Multiply them. Multiply, and you get to the second. And the y, gentlemen, please. That will be 4 then. How are we doing? Is this okay? Now, can you tell me what 2 squared is? This 2 squared is 4. Now, folks, I still have this pi, right? This pi is just going to get dropped right into my answer. So it'll be 4 pi and then x squared y to the 4th. Now, does the pi have to be right there where I put it? You could put it at the very end if you wanted, okay? But that would be your representation for the area. Okay, so I have good news and bad news for you for the rest of today. Good news is there's no new material. We're just going to practice what we've been doing. Good? Bad news is some of the questions that I'm going to give you are going to combine 2 different types of problems. So we're going to have to make sure we keep everything straight. Fair enough? Okay, before we get into that, let's get our vocabulary down here. Somebody remind me what a monomial is. One term. And how are they all connected? They're all connected by multiplication. For example, if I tell you 2xyz, that's a monomial because all the x, y, and z are all connected by multiplication. Is that all right for everybody? Are we sure? Yes? We're positive? Okay. Let's fill in the blanks now. The first type of problem I taught you about yesterday was multiplying monomials. When multiplying 2 or more monomials, so if it's just a multiplication problem, what do we do with the coefficients? Multiply them. You are going to multiply the coefficients, and then what do you do with the exponents? Add them, right? That's the first type of problem I taught you about yesterday. Now, you do have a little bit of this white space in here, don't you? Yes? So we're just going to do a real quick one of those problems. What's that? I don't believe so. That's a negative sign. It's just not very big. Is that better? Okay. So, folks, do you agree that this is a multiplication problem? Okay. So, what are we doing with these coefficients? Which gives you what? What are we doing with the exponents? So, this will be a to the and b to the 11th power. Okay? That's the first type of problem we learned about yesterday. Second type of problem we learned about yesterday was when a monomial is raised to an outside power. Okay? So the example I'm going to give you is going to be this. Do you agree that this thing inside of here is a monomial? Do you agree that it's raised to an outside power? Okay, so when we have this, we're going to raise the coefficient to the outside power. Folks, what part of this is the coefficient? The -3. So we're going to take this -3 and we're going to raise it to the outside power. Then we're going to multiply the exponents on all of the variable bases. So for example, this a is a variable, isn't it? So you're going to multiply those exponents and you get a to the, and then we're going to do the same thing with the b's and you get b to the 6th power. How we doing here? Doing okay? Last but not least, you just need to use your calculator and tell me what is negative 3 to the third power. Perfect. And that would then be your final answer. So today, we're going to practice more of these, and we're going to do some problems that actually puts the two of them together. Sound okay? All right. So the back of your worksheet, well, how many problems I got there? Like 9, 10, 12? Oh, a little more than I thought, 12. But that's would be okay. We're going to start off nice and easy, and we're going to work our way to a little bit more difficult. I'm not calling on you today. Okay? I need a volunteer for the first one, and then you're going to call on each other. Okay? So here we go, Derek. Number 1. First question I have for you, is it a multiplication problem or is it an outside power problem? Multiplication. Do I have coefficients? Yes. What are the coefficients? And negative 1, right? What are you going to do with those negative ones? Which gives you positive 1. Folks, do you have to write the positive 1? No, you don't, but I will anyways. Derek, what are you going to do with the exponents? And you get x to the... Wonderful. So my final answer then would be x to the 7th. Derek, can you tell me who's next for number 2? I don't really care. Just pick somebody. Tyler, is this a multiplication problem or an outside power problem? Okay, so what are we going to do with the coefficients? Which gives you? What are you going to do with the exponents? Which gives you x to the... Wonderful. Everybody doing so far so good on those first two? Okay, Tyler, who's next for number 3? Sarah. Is this a multiplication problem or an outside power problem? Perfect. What are we going to do with the 3 coefficients that we have in there? Perfect. What is 1/3 times 2 times 6? You know where your fraction button is on there? Let's see. See that? You can't quite. That one right there, yep. And then I think you're going to use your arrow to kind of get to the top and the bottom. Is that working? So it's not 1/2, it's 1/3. So hit your 1, and then hit that button, and then 3. Okay, now times. Here 2 times 6. There we go. Okay, so she got 4. Is everybody okay with that 4? Okay, so now that we have the coefficients done, what are we going to do with the exponents, Sarah? Okay, so the A's, it doesn't have anything to add. Does everybody see how I just dropped that straight down in there? Yes? Sarah, how about the B's? Perfect. Anybody have any questions so far? Nope. Sarah, who's next for me? She can't decide. Yes, while you're thinking about that, Sarah, go ahead, Dylan. How I got this 4 right here? I multiplied 1/3, 2, and 6. 1/3 times 2 times 6 should give me a coefficient of 4. Okay, who's next? Luke, ready? You ready? Okay, wait, I just want to know, is this a multiplication or an outside power? I'm doing number 4. Does everybody see the outside power? Yes. Lucas, inside of the parentheses, is there a coefficient? Not at all. Does everybody see how there's nothing inside there that's a coefficient, right? So Lucas, what are we going to do with the exponents in that outside power? We're not going to add them. We're going to multiply them. This A has a 1 on it. What is 1 times 3? Wonderful. How about the B's? Everybody good with that so far? Now, we still have that negative 3 in front of there, right? Does it have an outside power on it? No, we're just going to drop it straight down in front here. Just like that. How we doing? Good? Who's next, Luke? Come on, we got to keep moving here. Dalton, number 5. Is this a multiplication problem or an outside power problem? Outside power. Do you have a coefficient? What is it? What are we going to do with that coefficient? You're going to raise it up to that second power. Everybody doing okay? Dylan, what are we going to do with the exponents? Multiply them. So that'll be x to the, what's 5 times 2? 10? Is that okay? That y also has a 1 on it. What is 1 times 2? Yep. And how about the z's? Wonderful. Finally, the last thing I need from you, Dalton, is what is negative 3 squared? Say it again. I think you did it to the third power. Negative 3 squared. 9. And then we're just dropping our variables right down in there. It is not, because negative 3 squared means negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive. Yep, even number. If you put it in parentheses, it'll be okay. Everybody doing all right? Are we sure? Okay, who's next, Dalton? Logan? Okay, in number 6, Logan. You're the first combo problem here. Does everybody see the outside power? Yes? Does everybody see how it's also being multiplied by the second parentheses? Yes? So we're going to have to do 2 parts in one. So first up, Logan, let's do this outside power. Good news is there's no coefficient in there. What are you going to do with the squared on the x and the 4 on the outside? Good, so this will be x to the 8th. And then I'm just going to drop down the x to the 3rd that's right next to it. Does everybody see how x to the 3rd does not have an outside power? So we're just dropping it right down. Okay, so now that it's a multiplication problem, what are you going to do with those exponents? Wonderful. This will be then x to the 11th. Perfect. Logan, who's next for me? Only got a few left. I got Cody and Dylan left, I think, and Savannah. You haven't answered yet, right? Okay, Dylan, you're the next combo problem. Does everybody see how the second parentheses has an outside power, but the first one doesn't? Okay, so Dylan, again, good news is there is no coefficient to go with that outside power. So what are you going to do with the exponents? What are you going to do with these? Yep, so this will be b to the, wonderful. And then I'm just going to drop down this other parentheses because it does not have an outside power. All right, Dylan, now it's just a multiplication problem. What are you going to do with your coefficients? Nope, not the coefficients. Yep, so basically it's 2 times 1. What is 2 times 1? Okay, now the a's don't have anybody to go with, so we're just going to drop them down. And now what are you going to do with those b's? Correct, it'll be b to the, wonderful. Everybody still doing okay? Yeah? All right, Dylan, it's either Cody or Savannah. Who's up? Savannah? You've really got like a double, triple combo problem. It isn't, but does everybody see how both parentheses, okay, I'm up here. Does everybody see how both parentheses have an outside power? Okay, so Savannah, let's take a look at the one on the left. You do have a coefficient. What are you going to do with that coefficient in the outside power? Going up to the second power. What are you going to do with the j's? Yep, so that'll give me j to the 4th. What do we get for our k's? Wonderful. Finally, what is negative 3 squared? So this is 9, j to the 4th, k to the 6th. How are we doing with the left-hand side, folks? All right, Savannah, let's go over to the right-hand side now. You do have a coefficient again. What are we going to do with that 2? Okay, what are we going to do with the j's? So j to the 6, and how about the k's? Wonderful. What is 2 to the 3rd power, ma'am? So this is 8, j to the 6, k to the 3rd. Now is the easy part. Now it's a multiplication problem. Ma'am, what are you going to do with your coefficients? And what do you get? What are you going to do with your j's? And you get? And your k's? So she just had to do a little bit of everything that you've learned in the past 2 days. Are we following or not? All right, Cody, you're up for number 9. Let's see what kind of problem he's got. Oh, you got another triple combo problem, right? They're not that bad, but they take a few steps. Let's go to the left first, Cody. Do you have a coefficient? What is it? So what are we going to do with that 25? Raise it to the third power, okay? Then what are you going to do with your a's? This a squared with that 3 on the outside. Nope. What are you going to do? When you have an outside power, what are you going to do with the exponents? Multiply them, so that'll be a to the what? Okay, and then that b has a 1 on it, so if you multiply there, you get b to the... Wonderful. Now, this is going to be a really big number, but what is 25 to the third power? 625? And then we drop down the a to the 6, b to the third. Okay, let's go over to the right-hand side now, Cody. Do you have a coefficient in that part? It's 1/5. What are you going to do with that 1/5? Raise it to the second power. So I have 1/5 to the second power. Now that a has a 1 on it. What are you going to do with the exponents? So that'll be a to the what? And b to the... Good, because remember there's also a 1 on that b. Now, what is 1/5 squared? Perfect. And we drop down our a's and our b's. So the hard part's now over, Cody, thank goodness. Now it's just a multiplication problem. So what do I do with these coefficients? Okay, so I need 15,625 times 1/25. Oh, try it again. 15,625. It should come out to be a nice number. I think it should be 625. Let's make sure his calculator is working okay. $625. Okay, now what are you going to do with your a's? Nope. Now that it's a multiplication problem, these things get added. So that'll be a to the 8th. Same thing with the b's. What's that going to be? B to the... Wonderful. How we doing, guys? Good? I only got 3 left, right? Is that right? I know yours is a little bit more spread out than mine, so I want to make sure. Okay, so I got 3 left. So who wants a crack at them here? Which one you want? You want 10? Okay, so take a look at 10, folks. This time I've got 3 sets of parentheses. One of them has an outside power, so let's do that one first. Do you have a coefficient going on there, Derek? Okay, what are we going to do with that? So this will be 2 to the second. What are you going to do with your exponents? So that'll be x. Wonderful. And what is 2 squared then? So folks, this is now 4x squared y squared. So far, so good? Hello? Okay, the other 2 do not have outside power, so we're just going to drop them down. I'm basically just rewriting them. And now, Derek, this is just a multiplication problem. So what are you going to do with your coefficients? You will multiply them. And what do you get? 4 times -3 times 4. -48. What are you going to do with your exponents? So this will be x to the... Yep, and how about the y's? Wonderful. That'd be it. You want the next one? You want 12? Dalton, you want number 11? Okay, another combo, triple combo problem. Dalton, we're going to start on the left. Do you see that outside power of 3? Okay, do you have a coefficient? So what are we going to do with the 2? Raise it up to that third power. What are you going to do with your exponents? Correct, so this will be x to the, and y to the, and z to the. Wonderful. What is 2 to that third power then? 2 times 2 times 2. Try again. 2 to the third power. Wonderful. So this is 8, x to the 9th, y to the 6th, z to the 6th. All right, now let's go over to the right-hand side. We got an outside power again, but this time, no coefficient. So what are we going to do with our exponents? Yep, so that'll be x to the what? And z to the, wonderful. Now we're down to a multiplication problem. What are you going to do with your coefficients, Dalton? Yep, so what's 8 times 1? How many x's? Well, what are you going to do with your x's? I should ask you that first. Yep, add them. So you get x to the, what's 9 plus 8? Close. 17. Your y's, we're just dropping down because there's no other y's besides that one. How about your z's when you put those together? Wonderful. That'd be your answer. Dylan wants to do 12. It's up to you. What a nice guy. Really, number 12 is pretty easy. All right, Tyler, can Tyler have it? I can't believe it. Okay, we got an outside power, don't we? Got an outside power? Do you have a coefficient? Yes, we do. It's 2/3. What are you going to do with that 2/3? To the second power. 4/9, you tell me? What are we going to do with those? So that'll be d to the 4/9 d to the 12th. Well done today, folks. Yeah. All right. So again, I remind you, it's either a multiplication problem or an outside power problem, but sometimes they're going to be 2 and 1. Okay? You always do the outside power first and then do the multiplication. All right, I got a worksheet for you tonight.
This trick is gone. He's not even close.
A week is not even close to being done.
That's not what you just.
Okay, take a look, folks. The top part of this worksheet is all regular problems, just like we ended with. The middle part of this worksheet is the shapes, and then I threw in some word problems at the bottom. Okay, so you got a few minutes. Go ahead and get started on it. And hope you have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Maybe.
It's freezing rain till noon tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see. It's not very cool out there right now.
Yeah, it's
It was just freezing rain.
so
Folks, please get started. Thank you.